Okay. So I request everyone please go on mute, and I will try to make this session as much as interactive. So let's start this webinar. The webinar is about how you can become a SharePoint framework developer. I am assuming that most of you already have the knowledge or idea about what is SharePoint framework, but the intent or the context over here is that what are the trends and technologies going in the industry to let you become a SharePoint framework developer. So let's talk about the agenda first. So next slide, please, Pankaj. Okay. So the agenda of this webinar will be that who can become a SharePoint framework developer, what is SharePoint framework, how you can create a React based web part, then what are library components, which are very recently introduced in SharePoint framework, then how you can use Microsoft Graph. And finally, I will end the session by giving a brief overview of PNP.js library and how you can use it in SharePoint framework. Okay. Next slide. Okay, so this is a just brief evolution of SharePoint. You must be knowing it. I'm assuming you all are from the SharePoint or Microsoft Stack of Technologies background. So the journey started in 2001, then 2003, 6, 9, and the SharePoint version 2010, the SharePoint Server 2010, I believe, in my opinion, was the most stable version. Then came SharePoint 2013, then SharePoint 2016, and nowadays in the market, the latest version, I think you must be knowing it or maybe using it. That is SharePoint 2019. So this is the evolution of SharePoint journey. Just to let you know that earlier it was MOS 2007, and before that it was WSS, then MOS 2007, then SharePoint Server 2010, 2013, 2016, and now it's 2019. Next. Okay. Now, what is SharePoint framework? So let me tell you that in 2017, Microsoft launched SPFX. I am just using the short notation SPFX for SharePoint framework. So Microsoft launched it in 2007, and it is now the most recommended way to, you can say, the customized and extend the SharePoint online sites. And also you can use it with SharePoint Server as well. Not even with SharePoint Online, you can use SharePoint framework with SharePoint Server 2016 and 2019 as well, right? So whatever has been subsequently updated has expanded this, you can say, the framework capabilities. And now, as I said, you can use it on SharePoint on-premise deployments, including SharePoint Server 2016 and SharePoint Server 2019. Because now you have to understand that we no longer going to build the server-side solutions that are deployed to SharePoint servers. Instead, what is going to happen and what is happening now, that all the customizations are implemented using modern client-side development, or you can say using modern client-side solutions, which are primarily written in TypeScript, and they use popular web frameworks such as React. So if I talk about SharePoint framework, it is very much lightweight in nature, mobile friendly in terms of, you can say, it's responsive, backward compatible with the versions. Hello, anyone want to ask anything? Anyone want to ask anything?
Yes, I mean, I had one question, like if someone is in admin side, like SharePoint admin side, and they want to move towards this development side, so how much possibility is there?
Okay, so may I know your name, please?
Sanjeev.
Sanjeev. Okay, great. So Sanjeev, so for the group, the question is that if someone is an admin profile, that how they can move towards the development arena. Okay, so the question is very much valid, and I will say that there is no problem at all to move or to switch from an admin profile to a developer profile. The reason being that earlier what used to happen, that there was dependency on the server, there were full trust solutions, then you have to build that, develop that, and you need to be aware and cognizant of the fact about the APIs. Now, what has the scenario has changed drastically in the sense that you can move towards the developer profile by learning client-side frameworks, for example, React or Vue.js or Knockout.js, and then you can start your journey slowly and gradually with SharePoint framework as well. Because when you are talking about admin, right, Sanjeev? So I'm assuming that you are aware of all the I mean to say the arena of the SharePoint evolution, right? So
Yeah.
what is a list, what is a library, how the deployments goes on, what is a WFE server, what is an app server, how the database works in SharePoint environment. So if you are aware of about all these facts, then you will not face any problem, in my opinion, to switch over from admin profile to a developer profile. So you must start learning HTML, CSS, jQuery, JavaScript, and then slowly and gradually move towards the client-side frameworks, which are very common and very, you can say, industry standard nowadays, which is React and Angular. And then you can start learning the SharePoint framework as well. See, guys, just try to understand when I say SharePoint framework, it's not altogether, just don't assume it a very big framework. It works within the SharePoint boundary, within the SharePoint context only. Only thing is that yes, the possibilities have been changes. The way of doing the development, the way of doing the deployments have changed drastically. That I totally agree. But yes, it is again within the SharePoint domain, SharePoint boundary only. I think that answers your question, Sanjeev.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Right. So I was talking about SharePoint framework. So I was saying that if you are a traditional, let's say server side SharePoint developer, maybe in this group, so many of you would be SharePoint or you can say traditional server side developer. So I will say that yes, it will be a quite a bit to learn SharePoint framework because even seasoned web developers who are very learned, very experienced, they have a lot to learn to be productive in extending in the customizations by using SharePoint framework. So in now in the modern era or modern technology of SharePoint, there are modern team sites for SharePoint which are based on modern day customizations, and now the development is going to happen on those only primarily. Okay, so now I generally use a sentence for SharePoint framework. So what I say is freedom of choice and power over your own solutions. Because earlier there were specific APIs and there were set of instructions which needs to be followed for the SharePoint development and deployments. But now there is a choice. Uh, Abhishek, you want to ask something? Hello, Abhishek. Okay, so let's move forward. Next slide, please, Pankaj. So modern site pages. Just click, Pankaj. Modern site pages. So if I talk about the site pages and the pages library, they are also now in a trends developed using a SharePoint framework. Internally, they are calling SharePoint framework only because just try to understand if I talk about SharePoint 2019 or SharePoint Online, the complete scenario has been changed. Now there is no more ribbon. You must have not seen ribbon in the list and libraries. There is a toolbar at the top, which is developed using SharePoint extensions, SharePoint framework extensions, in fact. So complete scenario has been converted from a on-premise deployment using full trust code to a client-side development in which you can develop web parts and extensions. Next, please. Next. Next. Okay. Now, if I talk about tools and libraries, so the modern tool chain and the frameworks which we generally use in SPFX are the Yeoman, which is used for SharePoint framework scaffolding, Gulp for task automation, testing, and building your solution. Then you can use an editor, which is Visual Studio Code. The most preferable one, I will say, is a Visual Studio Code. But yes, you can use other code editor as well. For example, Atom, Sublime, and so on. For the JavaScript framework, my preference is always React. We can yes discuss on another forum that why it always React for me as a preference when it comes to JavaScript framework for SharePoint framework solutions. You need to know what is TypeScript because that will help you to understand that how you can code in a SharePoint framework solution. So next slide, please. So in my opinion, by utilizing more client-side technologies and embarrassing open source culture and open source behavior and being more transparent, now Microsoft, now the plans are that to move towards the modern scenarios, the open source technologies. So this is the I think the plan which Microsoft is moving ahead. Next. Yeah. So now you can see uh, just one second. Okay, now you can see here the direct comparison between the server side and the client side toolchain. So earlier we used to use IIS, Microsoft.NET. For that we have now Node.js. Now earlier we used to use Nugget packages. If you need to install some package, then you need to give add Nugget package from the references. Earlier, now we have npm packages, Node Package Manager. Then for a comparison with the MS Build, now you have Gulp, which helps you for task automation, for testing, and for building your SharePoint framework solution. In comparison to C Sharp, now we have TypeScript, and for Visual Studio templates, we have Yeoman. So when we write the command yo at the rate Microsoft/SharePoint, it actually creating a solution for it by using the template. Next slide. So in the subsequent slides, these slides will tell you that what is Yeoman, what is Gulp, what is Visual Studio Code, what is TypeScript. So I will go a little bit faster over here. But if you have any questions, just please stop me in between, and definitely I will try to answer your question in the best possible way. So if I talk about NPM, this is a Node Package Manager. So first of all, to start with a SharePoint framework solution, you have to install Node, you have to install some packages. So npm install TypeScript, this will install the TypeScript in your environment. So basically npm is just a package manager. It is completely, I will say, a Node repository for you, from where you can install and download the packages. Next slide. Yeoman, as I said, that yo at the rate Microsoft/SharePoint is just a command. Yo is a short form for Yeoman. This is used for a scaffolding tool for development projects. So if I write this command yo at the rate Microsoft/SharePoint, it will ask me some set of questions in the Node.js command prompt, or maybe in a simple command prompt. So when it will go online and scaffold your complete project. It will ask you some set of questions, that what is the let's say what kind of solution you want to create, or what kind of framework you want to use, and so on and so forth. And finally it will create a solution for you. So Yeoman is used for that. Next. So Gulp, this is just a task builder. When your solution has been created, you have done the complete deployment. So you have to see the output. For that, the command is Gulp serve. So Gulp is mainly used for task automation, testing, and building your project. Next. Next. Okay, now setting up your computer. This is very important, and I think you must be very much interested to know that from where I can start, right? So for setting up your computer, let's say you are on a Windows machine. I am assuming you are having a Windows laptop. Let's say Windows 10 is installed in it, or let's say you are maybe using a Mac also, Apple machine. Okay. So what you have to do, you have to first install the Node.js. You have to install, download and install a editor. As I said, Visual Studio Code. Then you have to install Yeoman and Gulp. Then you have to install Yeoman SharePoint Generator. And there are some other optional tools also. So just be cognizant of the fact that these are very much required. The top three steps, the first, second, and third: install developer tools, Node.js and developer editor, Yeoman and Gulp, and Yeoman SharePoint Generator, which we'll talk about in the subsequent slides now. So install developer tool, Node.js and npm. So yes, you can use the command npm install -g npm. What is -g? It is saying that you are installing this Node npm packages globally in your system or in your computer. Install Yeoman and Gulp. So for installing an Yeoman and Gulp, there is a common command, which only one command, npm install -g yo gulp. So this will install Yeoman and Gulp in your environment. Install Yeoman SharePoint Generator. So step by step, I'm telling you. First, we install the node. Then you have to install the Visual Studio Code in your environment. Then you have to install the npm install. Then Yeoman and Gulp. And this is npm install -g at the rate Microsoft/generator SharePoint. So this is, we are talking about Yeoman. So this is a command to let's say prepare the solution, or you can say quickly creates a SharePoint client-side project for you with the right toolchain and project structure. Next. So this is the app catalog site. I'm sure you must be knowing that at a tenant level, you have to create an app catalog site. It is just like a library. It is just like a library, and there could be only one app catalog site per tenant. So you have to create it at the tenant level, and you need to have the global admin rights for creating it. So what this app catalog site will help us, or library will help us, that whenever you create a SharePoint framework solution, you create a package. So that package is .sppkg. So where you have to deploy that package. So you can deploy it at a tenant level, but yes, just for your information, you can enable the site collection level app catalog also. So let's say, let me tell you a scenario. You are working with a client. Okay, you are in the client tenant. You are working in client Office 365 tenant, and client allows you to create only one site collection, and you are developing a SPFX solution for them. So let's say you have created a .sppkg package. Now client tells you that, hey, we won't allow you to deploy or to upload your package in our tenant app catalog. Then what is the solution? So the solution for this problem is that you can enable the site collection level app catalog, but only criteria or condition in that is that before enabling site collection app catalog, your tenant level app catalog should be created. I'm repeating my sentence, that for enabling or creating the site collection level app catalog, because the site collection level app catalog is created via PowerShell. So you have to have SharePoint Online Management Shell. You will write a command, add SPO site collection app catalog, and you will enable it in a site collection. It will give you an error if the tenant level app catalog is not created. So this you have to remember. Next. Then you can create a site collection. It could be a team site collection or a developer site collection. Pankaj, let's move fast a little bit. Okay. Workbench. So there are two types of workbench. Please remember in SharePoint framework, one is local workbench, or you can have a SharePoint workbench also. So Microsoft has given you this option. So when you are developing anything or you have want to test it, so you can first test it on a local workbench which runs on the local host. But yes, if you are fine with the development and you are confident and you have done the unit testing, then you can test it on the SharePoint workbench as well. And the URL for that is that your site.sharepoint.com_layout/workbench.aspx. So this particular page is hosted in SharePoint Online and SharePoint on-premise as well for your test. It just works like a workbench. Galpraz, okay, we can move forward, Pankaj.
Hello.
Yeah, yes, please. Abhishek, is it Abhishek or Sarvash?
This is Sarvashish.
Yeah, Sarvashish.
Yeah, so you said the local workbench URL underscore layouts underscore
No, no,
workbench
no. Local,
dot
no, no, no. Local workbench runs on local host. I was telling about
h.
SharePoint workbench.
Okay, okay. Yeah, but that is one thing I wanted to add. Like it would be underscore layouts slash 15 slash
Oh,
workbench dot
so in SharePoint from SharePoint 2013, since it's 15 Hive, okay. So if you put 15 or you don't put 15, it doesn't make any difference.
Okay, okay.
So you can test it at your end. If you want to put 15 underscore layout /15 slash user.aspx, right? Or it could be slash layout underscore layout slash user.aspx. So it does not make any difference, because in SharePoint 2013, what happened? There was a concept called friendly URLs, right? This was not there in SharePoint Server 2010. So the concept of friendly URLs got introduced in SharePoint Server 2013. Right? So what that concept says is that you can make your URL short in terms of that internally it is calling your 15 Hive only, but it doesn't make any difference if you put 15 or not. Okay,
Okay, okay.
great. So let's move
Thank you.
forward. Web part project. Okay, so I want to talk about this. So this is a project structure. So when you create a SharePoint framework project using the commands which we saw recently, the npm command. So this is the structure on the left hand side of the screen. You can see that this is the solution structure which is generally created for a SharePoint framework client side web part. I'm not talking about extensions here, although there is no much difference in the structure. But for a web part, let's say Hello World web part is the name of the web part. So what are the different folders? What are the different files which gets created? So you can see on the screen, there are different folders. For example, config is a folder, dest is a folder, lib is a folder, node underscore modules. This is very, very important. So whenever you install or create a SharePoint framework web part project, So this is a folder which gets created for extensions as well, for web parts as well, node_modules. So I just want to give my recommendation over here that don't try to rename these folders, because these are created by default and these are the part of boilerplate. So when I say boilerplate, what does it mean? So boilerplate means which comes handy out of the box by default from the npm command. So don't try to rename these folders, because generally when I give trainings on SharePoint framework, students or participants do ask me that, hey, can I rename this folder? I don't like the name of this folder, node_modules. So my recommendation is always that don't try to rename this. Okay, let's move forward. Pankaj, we can move fast. So these are some of the files which gets created in a boilerplate or default SharePoint framework web part solution. Next. Pankaj, keep on moving. I'll let you know.
Okay, sure.
Okay, please wait here. So deploy your app to the SharePoint app catalog. So as I was mentioning earlier, that once you have developed the SPPKG package, SPPKG means, so if I talk about the previous, let's take a step back. So if I talk about the previous scenarios, you must be aware of the add-ins. I think you must have heard the name add-ins: provider hosted app, cloud hosted app, auto hosted app, SharePoint hosted app. Now the app has been changed to add-in. Now add-in has been changed to SPPKG package. So this is the evolution of the complete SharePoint journey, right? So when we used to create this add-ins, the file name was .app, right? And now when I talk about the SharePoint framework package, the file extension is .sppkg, which needs to be uploaded in a SharePoint app catalog site. It could be at the tenant level, it could be at the site collection level. So in this particular site, you can see that file is getting uploaded in a tenant catalog site. Next slide, please. Next. Yeah, so this is a very, very important slide. And this will be the end of my topic 1, which is about the SharePoint framework. So Pankaj, you can just click, because there is animation added in it. So you can just stop when the animation stops. So till here, any questions? Because this will be the last slide of the topic 1, because there are many other topics, subsequent topics. I will not take more than 30 minutes from here. So till here, any questions?
Vipul.
Hi, Abhishek.
Vipul, this is Rohit.
Oh, hi, Rohit. I'm
So far so good. I just have a basic question, right? Look, because I just want to know, because I'm having around like 10 years of experience in SharePoint itself, working
great.
as a SharePoint developer, plus I have an admin profile also. But my question here is, I hated to be like into UI and UX kind of programming, like designing the user interfaces. And that's why I was just moved from .NET and Angular to SharePoint. But
Right.
now again, the ball is in our court, and we have to choose anything like React or anything. Confusion here is there are different types of model available for the development for SPFX. One is the
Absolutely.
PNP, one is the PNP,
Absolutely.
and I believe this one is a no JavaScript framework which
Absolutely.
PNP uses. And then this one, then another one is the React one, and the
Yes.
knockout they are saying that they will deprecate it
Yes.
soon in the scaffolding. So my question here is React only used for the component design, and the programming is in the TypeScript only? Because I get confused. I see a lot of tutorials that shows us like how to develop in TypeScript and how to develop in React. So are they same, or like what is the difference? I was not able to have a clear difference between using a React component designing, or like picking up the PNP JS patterns to develop the solutions. So this
Great.
is a bit of confusion. Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is absolutely valid. So for the group, Rohit has asked 2 questions here, majorly which I understood, that which programming language, specifically front end or maybe the back end, I need to choose. Okay, and why there are different you can say ways to develop in SharePoint framework, because one could be REST API, simple REST APIs. Okay, one could be PNP JS and could be others as well. So I will answer this question very quickly. So Rohit, first of all, when you create your project, right? So you get different options for choosing the framework. I'm not saying that you cannot create a no JavaScript framework. Definitely you can create, but I will distinguish between specifically React, Angular, Knockout, Vue, all these options. So Vue you don't get, Knockout you very well said is deprecating. So Angular I will not focus on, but yes, React. So yes, React is mainly used as front-end library or front-end framework. When I say front-end framework, so you need to understand that when you talk about a solution, you need to have an architecture. I think you will agree to with my point, right? When I say architecture, it could be a MVC pattern, model view controller architecture, or it could be other architectures as well, right? So you need to understand first of all what architecture you are following. And based on that architecture, there will be one front end, there will be something called a state management, there will be something called business logic layer, and there will be something called backend layer, or you can say database layer, right? So when I talk about the front end framework, where we actually create the components, because here we will talk about the component design. React is everything called components, right? So that's why we are using React. Don't get confused between React and TypeScript. TypeScript is just a comparable with, you can say, which you used to use C# in .NET. So this is TypeScript in SharePoint framework. But React is totally something different, where it allows you to create very, you can say, lightweight and responsive kind of components. That's why we use React. Now to answer another question, that what is PNP.js and what is this, all these stuff. So if I talk about UI, Rohit, specifically, and to the group, that there are different options available for you. Let's say one company or one development team chooses Office UI Fabric. Another chooses, let's say, Kendo UI. Another chooses, let's say, Material UI, Fluent UI, or maybe some other UI as well. If I talk about myself, I am recently working on a SharePoint framework project, and I am using Kendo UI in my SharePoint framework project. So it totally depends on your structure, your requirements specifically. Because see, you can very well understand, if I talk about a grid, let's create a grid, rows and columns. A grid can be created in multiple ways, and there could be multiple requirements around that grid. Am I correct? So if I talk about PNP.js, PNP.js just allowing you, it's internally, let me tell you for the information, that PNP.js internally calls REST APIs only. I'm not sure whether you are all you are aware of it, but you can explore it, you can Google it, that PNP.js internally calls REST APIs only. So it's just a wrapper. It's just a layer, I will say, a wrapper around the REST APIs. It's nothing different. But only thing is the APIs, the commandlets, because it's open source community, right? PNP.js patterns and practices, right? So since it's open community, the people are trying all over the world to make it more simpler, more smaller as compared to the REST APIs. Because in REST API, what happens? We say $.ajax, right? We write $.ajax, and then we give the URL of the REST API URL for SharePoint, and then we do the other JSON operations going forward. So the community, the patterns and practice PNP.js community, it has developed a wrapper around the REST calls only for you to make the things simpler. If I give you an example, are you aware of ensure user method in SharePoint? Rohit, this is a question for you. So earlier in the server side, we used to have something called ensure user,
Yes.
right? It's a object of the web.ensure user. Am I correct?
Yeah.
And earlier there was site.users.add. If I want to add a user in the server side, there was a method site.users.add.
Exactly.
And you have to specify the login name as the parameter. Am I correct?
Yes. Hard coded. Yes.
Hard coded, right? And you used to have web.ensure user. What that ensure user method do? That ensures that the user is present in your site or not. And if it is not present, it adds that user to your site. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Correct. This is the server side code earlier. Now, if I talk about PNP.js, because as I said, is an open source community. It's a group of people, right? So it is evolving. Till today, there is no, I will say, comparable method which is available for ensure user or for ensuring the user in PNP.js. So now what you will say? Now, what our take over here is that we cannot use PNP.js in this scenario where we have to ensure the user. Now, second example, you must be aware of the elevated privileges in server-side code. SP security class was there, and it uses SP security dot run with elevated privileges. It was a delegate, correct?
Right.
Now, if I have to elevate the permissions in SharePoint framework, let's say using PNP.js, it's not possible because there is no as such method available in PNP.js to elevate the permissions of a user, because elevating the permission means you are talking about an admin user or a farm account.
Got it.
Yeah, it used to run by Apple user, right?
Hello, Vipul. We are not able to hear you.
Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes,
right
yes.
now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I've appeared that I'm audible. Okay. So I was telling that there are limitations. There are some. Am I audible now?
Yes, you
Yes,
are
yes.
audible.
So I was saying that there are some limitations which will be rectified going forward, but Rohit, it depends on your requirements, specific requirements, that you have to go with PNP.js, you have to go with REST APIs, or you have to go with some other frameworks as well. Okay. Now, if I was talking about this client side web part. So, given the time limitations, I need to cover all the topics. So, this client side frameworks gives you a picture that what are the steps which we generally talk about in the previous slides, that you have to install the generator, then you have to scaffold the project, build the project, test it using Gulp Serve, and finally deploy it in the app catalog. Let's move forward, Pankaj. Move forward. Okay, React.js. So this is very important. So I want to give you an example. See, this is a boy. On the left hand side, you can see he is doing some programming in, let's say, some old traditional programming he is doing. And what he wants to do is that there are 4 boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4. He wants to only update 1 to certain number. He is not required to update 2, 3, 4. But what happens? Press next, Pankaj. Now you see, when he when Pankaj pressed next, the complete DOM got loaded. The complete DOM is getting loaded. I mean to say that 2, 3, 4 are also getting loaded with the traditional technologies, and 1 has been changed to 101. So that was a requirement. But you see, the boy is very sad. The boy is not feeling happy. Now let's move to the next slide. So now you see the boy is now programming in React. Now he is very happy. Why he is happy? Now we will see. Just press next. Wait. Uh, just go back. Yeah. So now what you see here, the difference. Now when he wants to change the 1 to 101, the complete DOM is not getting loaded, and now the boy is feeling happy because he's using now React. This is the beauty and power of React.js, that it maintains actually a virtual DOM. I'm not going into the details of those DOM or virtual DOM, but I want to just tell you that how much React powerful is, that it does not complete your DOM in terms of asynchronous programming. Just press next, Pankaj. So it's just allowing you to update a value for a particular cell only. Next, it was just an illustration. It was just an example. So these are the basic concepts of React.js. So if you join the training from FlexMind for SharePoint framework, I would be the trainer, and I would be giving complete detailed information about all these concepts of React.js in the SPFX training. I will be talking about JSX, components, props, states, lifecycle, events, reps, keys, and router. So these are the 9 major concepts of React.js. I'm not sure whether you joined the training or not, which is starting from October 17th. I would be the trainer, but I will definitely recommend for you all that you must join that training, and you will get to know the real beauty of React and SharePoint framework. Let's move to next slide. So this is just an example that what are the big companies over there in the world that they are using React.js in their applications. For example, Uber, Yahoo, Facebook, Dropbox, Instagram, Netflix, and New York Times. These are some of the major giants which have already started and are using React.js in their applications. So for your information, your Uber app, the app which you are using for cab booking, is completely developed in React.js. Let's move to the next slide, please. SPFX library component type. So this is the second topic of my talk today. I will move a little bit faster given the time limitation. So library components, previous slide, yeah. So what are library components? Anyone in the group here having idea about what is a library component? Anyone? Anyone heard about this in SharePoint framework? No problem. So this library component type, it just tells you that how you can maintain or enhance the reusability in SharePoint framework. So what it tells you, it gives you an option to create the shared code, which can be independently versioned and deployed in the SharePoint tenant. So by that, what I mean is, by that, what I mean is that it allows you to reuse your written code in a SharePoint, in another SharePoint framework project. So by that, what I mean, let's say there are two projects. One is, let's say, library component type, and another is, let's say, a web part project. So let me tell you that whenever you create a SharePoint framework project, earlier you was getting two options, only to create a web part and a extension. Now you get three options. I repeat, now you get three options. You can create a web part, you can create an extension. Now you can create a library component type also. So what you have to do, you have to create a library component type. So you can write your methods in that, and you can refer that library component in another project, okay, which is a web part project. So just like we write import commands at the top, or using statements at the top, you can import that library component and use its methods, use the library component type methods in your web part project. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, so library component types, what it is doing you, what it is telling you, that it enables you to have independently versioned and deployed code. So as I said, there are two projects we are talking about. One is of type library component type and another is web part project. So the library component type, right, can be used, that library component type methods can be used in a different solution altogether. Okay, just you have to reference and link those projects. Okay. Second thing important is that you can only host one library component version at a time in a tenant. This is very, very important. It is not supported to have other component type included in a solution which contains library component. So when you are creating a library component, okay, it is a library component type, the type of solution. You are creating a web part solution, you are creating an extension solution, or you are creating a library project type solution. So when you create a library project type solution, right, you cannot means incorporate or include any other type of solution, whether it be web part or a extension. Next slide, please. Okay, so I have given a very small example over here. You can see the code example. So what it is saying, that you have to create the library component type, first of all, using the command yo @Microsoft/SharePoint. Then I am making some changes in the code in the TypeScript file of that library component. I am just creating a method get current time. Then I'm running the gulp build command, and then run npm link for library root folder. From the library root folder, you have to run the command npm link. Why this command is required? Because it is telling that now this library solution type or component type, it's now available for linking to other projects, right? Then run npm link corporate library. This is the name of the solution from the web part root folder. Then go to this TypeScript file. Now you see this import star as my library from corporate library. Now this is where I'm writing this command. Who can tell me? This command import star as my library from corporate library, in which solution I need to write it? Any idea? Okay, let me give you all an example.
Yes.
Sorry?
We need to write in .ts the solution.
No, .ts, that's okay. What I'm asking is
where we want to reference it, like in the new web part.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. So we need to give the reference of this import statement, or we need to write this import statement in the web part solution. Rohit, did you got my point?
Yes.
Yeah, so this import star is my library from corporate library. We are importing a library component in a web part solution. Guys, just try to understand what I mean to say. So there are two different solutions here we are talking about. One is a web part solution, right? One is a library solution, library component type solution, correct? And library component type solution is a reusable one. It has reusable methods. Let's say get methods, set methods, or whatever methods it has. Now you want to, because see, Who can tell me now what is the advantage of library component now? If you have understood the concept, now what is the advantage? What is why SharePoint or Microsoft has introduced this library component type?
For reusability.
For reusability, obviously, because you don't try to write your common methods in the webpack file or webpack solution. You need to have a separate, let's say, library for that, so that you can reuse it. Okay.
One
Let's
thing I want to ask that this side of
Yes,
Abhishek
please.
sir.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, yeah. So one thing is that we have I have a two different URL. So how can you import that code
Different
is the
URL,
other
you
project?
say different tenants.
Yeah, different tenants.
So here we are not talking about two different tenants. We are talking about in the same tenant.
Okay.
Because see, when you say two different tenants, so
Yes.
subdomain is all the domain is always .sharepoint.com in online,
Yes.
right? But your
Okay.
subdomain could be different. So let's say I have a tenant A, I have a tenant B. Okay.
Okay.
Now what will be the URL? Tenant A.sharepoint.com, tenant B.sharepoint.com. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm not talking about here two different tenants, because cross tenant it does not work.
Okay.
Here we are not talking about cross tenancy. Okay. We are talking about a single tenant having multiple site
Single
collections.
tenant, it means, yeah, multiple and same project.
Multiple site collections. Yeah, a tenant
Okay.
can have multiple site collections, right? Because there is no
Okay.
concept of web application in online,
Okay.
right? Okay, let's
Okay.
move forward. I have 10 minutes from now, so I will move a little bit faster. So now the another topic, the second last topic for today's talk, what is Microsoft Graph? Okay, till here, any other questions? I want
Sir, I
to
will,
get more.
Vipul, I will take only 1 minute. I just want to know one thing, like when we are creating the library components, so if anything is changing in that library component, do we need to rebuild again to get the changes reflected
You
in
have to build. Yeah,
the
the project needs to be built. That is very much correct. Because see, until and unless the project will not be built, how the web part solution will know that any changes have been made? Because in the web part solution, you are just referencing it.
okay.
Are you getting my point?
Yes. One more
Yeah.
thing is why Microsoft introduced this thing. Like, if the same thing we can do, like creating a JS file and referencing
Definitely. I was coming to
those
that
custom
point
JS
that
files,
in the
because
same
here we are
solution.
limiting to
Yeah.
only one to use the tenant, but in the JS files we can use multiple JS files as and
Definitely.
when we are. Yeah,
The
please.
basic main advantage, because Microsoft was getting continuous this request from different customers and from different people, that there should be something which helps in reusability. Getting my point?
No, no.
See, Rohit, I think this is Rohit, right? Or Abhishek?
Yes.
Okay. So to
No,
answer your question,
when I use a JS file, I think so then we have just put that JS file in that particular folder, and then after that add the reference, call the reference of that JS file. Here
yeah,
is just here is the just component type is put the other folder and just call it, just call the reference.
definitely.
There is no need to put the that component in my other folder, new folder.
That is absolutely correct. And the major difference here is that when you create a JS file and reference in the same solution, and let's say, for example, your solution gets corrupted, so that
Yes.
complete JS files and even all the files gets corrupted, right? So
Okay.
just for the separation, just for the
Yeah.
sense of separation and sense of
Yeah.
reusability, Microsoft has introduced it. Okay.
Okay.
Now coming to overview of Microsoft Graph. So what is Microsoft Graph? Pankaj, can you please enter, please? Oh, go back. I'm really sorry. So Microsoft Graph is, I will say, it's a developer platform, right? That connects, I will say, multiple services and devices as well. So initially it was released in 2015. Okay, so it is built on Office 365 APIs, and it allows developers, I will say, to integrate their services with Microsoft products. And that includes, because now we are talking about Microsoft 365, so I will say integrating the services not only with Microsoft products, it includes not only Office 365 products, it includes Windows, Office 365, and Azure as well, right? So I will say it provides a complete unified programmability model to you. And I will say that Microsoft Graph exposes REST APIs and client libraries to access data, right? You can use Microsoft 365 services. Pankaj, please move to next slide. So it uses Microsoft 365 services. In the slide, you can see here that Delve, Excel, Microsoft Bookings, Microsoft Teams, It uses enterprise mobility and security services. It uses Windows 10 services. It uses Dynamics 365 services. So all these services you can access using Microsoft Graph. And the beauty of this is there is only one endpoint. Microsoft Graph API, please remember, I'm repeating this line very slowly. The Microsoft Graph API offers a single endpoint, and that endpoint URL is https://graph.microsoft.com. So just write down this on your URLs on the address bar of your browsers, https://graph.microsoft.com, and you will see the complete knowledge of Microsoft Graph APIs and how you can use them in SharePoint framework as well. So I will say, for example, just give you an example what you all can do with Microsoft Graph. So let's say you can get the email address of the meeting event attendees. Okay. You can look them up individually in the Azure Active Directory to get their profile information. You can connect to their managers through a manager relationship. You can get, let's say, the most relevant people around a user group. So these are some of the scenarios where you can use Microsoft Graph APIs. Any questions in Microsoft Graph? Have you ever used Microsoft Graph APIs in your projects?
Okay,
So-
one thing is that it is used only for SharePoint 365.
As
Suppose
I
I have
said,
an internet project
yeah,
and I'm not using a SharePoint 365, so I can use a Microsoft Graph API in my project.
you mean to say in the on-premise deployment?
Yeah, on premise.
No.
Okay.
Because it is a suite which is under Microsoft 365 only, right? So actually it
Okay.
exposes the REST API and client libraries which needs to be used in Office 365, for
Okay.
Dynamics 365, right? For enterprise mobility
Yeah.
and security services.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Because see, if you are in on-premise deployment, why you want to use Microsoft 365 Graph? There should be a related requirement around that, right? Because when you are in an on-premise environment, you must be working in a farm setup. You should be
Yeah.
having a farm, having multiple
Yeah.
WFE servers or app servers
Yeah.
or database servers.
Yeah.
And that
Yes.
would be in a particular firewall, correct?
Yes.
Or in a
Yes.
particular network or in a particular domain, correct?
Yeah.
So you are not talking about outside the firewall in an on-premise
Yes.
environment,
Yes.
right? And you are not
Yes.
talking about multiple products in an on-premise environment, right?
Yes.
But when
Yes.
we talk
Yes.
about Office 365, this is a suite of products, multiple products we talk about under the one umbrella, right?
Right.
So under the one umbrella, there could be SharePoint Online, there could
Okay.
be, let's say, Delve, there could be Microsoft Teams, or there could be
Okay.
Planner, or there could be Power
Yes.
BI, right? Or Power Automate, complete Power Platform. So all
Yes.
these things comes under one umbrella, right?
Yes.
So this is
Right.
the major difference. So
Okay.
I just want to give you one information. So HTTPS graph.microsoft.com. This is the one common endpoint API which you all can access. And for your playground, there is a Graph Explorer. I'm really sorry because I cannot share my screen, so that's why I'm not able to show that. But
Okay.
I just wanted to show that there is a Graph Explorer. You can write on
Yes.
Google or you can see in the menu bar of this graph.microsoft.com. There is a Graph Explorer available for you, which gives you the endpoints for the particular request. So this is a complete request and response scenario, right? You send a request to some server and it gives you a response, right? So these are the endpoints or these are the APIs freely available for you, which you can consume in your projects,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So you should
Right.
go ahead and play around with the Graph Explorer. I think version 1.10 will be available for you. There will be one beta version. Don't use the beta version. Just go with the version
Okay.
1.10. So use that
Oh.
version for the Graph Explorer.
Okay.
Now coming quickly to the PNP.js library, that how to use PNP.js. Let's move forward, Pankaj. Click.
Guys, please go on mute if you're not talking.
Okay, Pankaj, please click. Click. Yeah. Okay. So what is PNP.js? As I said, PNP.js is a collection of Fluent libraries for consuming SharePoint, for consuming Microsoft Graph, Office 365 REST API in the safest way, right? So PNP.js is nothing but just a wrapper around the REST APIs only. This is an open source initiative, as I already mentioned, and all the contributions are definitely encouraged in PNP.js libraries. Now you have to install the package manager for the PNP.js. So that package manager, how you can install that, you have to run the command npm install @pnp/common/logging or /sp. /sp is for SharePoint --save. So this is the npm package manager which you need to use in your SharePoint framework projects. Now, only last important thing which I want to tell you about PNP.js library while working in SharePoint framework, because PNP library, it construct the REST request. As we all know now, it need to know the URL to send these requests, right? So when operating with classic sites and pages, we can make use of the _sp page context info object. Have you used sp page context info? I'm sure you must have all used, who all are developers. You must have used _sp page context info. Yes or no?
Yes.
Right? So sp page context info dot server URL, web absolute URL, all these are objects available for you. But with SPFX, this is not available. So you have to go or rely on the context object. There is an object in SharePoint framework which is called context. So you have to rely on this object particularly, which is supplied by the SharePoint framework. So just go to the last slide. This is last but not the least. I will say that what is the future of SharePoint development? If you see from now as well, the SharePoint framework in combination with Microsoft Graph and PNP.js. So this combined is the future of SharePoint development or SharePoint journey, in my opinion. I am also from a SharePoint background only. I have around 13 to 14 years of experience in SharePoint. I started my journey with 2003, then MOS 2007, then 2010, 2013, 16, 19, and online. So thank you very much for listening to me. You are a very good audience, very patient one. Thanks a lot. So any questions? I'm just opening this forum now for the questions.
Okay, one thing is that I want to get the training from just basic to development. How can I get that?
Yeah, definitely. So I think Pankaj will be the right person to comment on this. But from my perspective, yes, FlexMind have that, I will say, the training modules where you can go ahead and start your journey from basic to the advanced one. But yes, for your information, from October 17th, right?
Yeah.
We are starting a new batch for SharePoint framework. You can definitely get enrolled for that. I will be the trainer in that. And let me tell you very frankly and openly over here that I start or I teach from the very basic ones, right?
Okay.
I don't assume that whether you are from a SharePoint background or not. I'm not interested to know about that during that training, because I start from very basic. So if I'll teach SharePoint framework, I'll start from
With
very
SharePoint
basic.
Online. With
Yeah, with
SharePoint
SharePoint
Online.
Online. Yes, with SharePoint Online. So
Okay.
I will teach you TypeScript from very basics to advanced. I will teach you React. I will teach you SharePoint framework. So that will be from a very basic node to intermediate to advanced level.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Anyone having any other questions? See, don't hesitate to ask any questions. It could be a simple one or difficult one. Doesn't matter, but please ask.
I understand that you are going to start on 17. May I know the timing? Because basically I'm from Singapore, so I just want to manage time if possible.
So Pankaj,
Yeah, timing will be 7 p.m. to 10 p.m.
IST?
IST. Yes.
Okay. So 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST.
So 3 hours daily or?
No,
No,
it's
it will
3
be on a
hours on
weekend.
Saturday, 3 hours on Sunday. So 6 hours every weekend.
Okay.
There will be some customization related to SharePoint, some custom work regarding a template and other master pages. It will be also included in that.
Yes, yes, definitely. See, definitely everything from a branding perspective, from master page changes,
Yeah.
from look and
Yeah.
feel, or from Office UI Fabric, or I have to use Material UI, Fluent UI, or Kendo UI, any other UIs. Because see, let me give you an example over here to answer your question very quickly. You must be using some different types of controls: a text box, a label, a drop down, a grid control, or people picker, something like that, right? In
Yeah.
your projects, right? For creating, let's say, a very basic form having 10 fields, right?
Yeah.
And some
Yeah.
validations, right?
Yeah.
So in SharePoint framework, since this is very much open, and as I said, you have a freedom of choice here, correct? So when I say freedom of choice, and also you have power over your own solution, so you can use, let's say you like text box from Office UI Fabric library, and you like, you
Okay.
say, hey Vipul, I don't like the text box, or let's say a drop down from Office UI Fabric, so can I use another library? So yes, in the same solution.
No, no. One thing is I am working with a master page customization. There's like a custom responsive HTML template and just
Yeah,
convert it into
definitely,
the
for that you need to
SharePoint
use
master page
Microsoft.
and just
Yeah,
making a SharePoint site as a responsive.
yeah. So you need to use SharePoint framework extensions for that, which I'm going to teach in the training.
Okay.
Any
Okay.
other questions? I think Rohit or Narayana was asking some question, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, the OS on the system, if I have Windows 7 OS system, then also I can work on with SharePoint online development.
Narayana, your voice a little bit low. You are saying Windows machine.
Uh, no, to work on SharePoint online development, do I need to, if I have Windows 7, can I work with that, or do I
Yeah,
have to
definitely.
upgrade?
See, when it comes to SharePoint Online, it's hosted on cloud, right? So it is not dependent on your infrastructure. Do you have an internet connection? The answer is yes. Do you have a laptop? The answer is yes. Do you have
Yes.
Windows 7 or Windows 10 or Windows 8 or maybe any other operating system? The answer is yes, right? Then you are good to go with SharePoint Online.
But these installations like Node.js, all these things, are they good to work on Windows 7 as well?
I will
This,
recommend to have, see, for these I will recommend for these softwares, I will recommend to have the Windows 10 version, because they work perfectly fine, and I have tested them personally with Windows 10. But I'm not sure for Windows 7, because I need to check on that perspective that how much they are compatible with Windows 7, because Windows 7 I have not read anywhere as of now that they will be compatible or not, so that's why I'm not sure. But with Windows 10, yes, definitely is compatible.
okay, thank you. And one more question, like if we like on premises we have event handlers like that.
Yeah.
So similar to that also, do we have something in SharePoint framework?
Definitely. So this is a very, very good question. So in on-premise, we used to have event receivers. We used to have timer
Yes.
jobs and event handlers. And in fact, we used to have HTTP module, right? And HTTP handlers for the web request in .NET, in on-premise, in server side. In SharePoint framework, or specifically in SharePoint Online, earlier the concept was remote event receivers.
1302 पर अभी मिस्ड कॉल दें एयरटेल पेमेंट्स प्लान से रिचार्ज
Can
करें
you
और
mute,
अतिरिक्त
please? I think
बचत करें
Abhishek. Okay. So I was telling that earlier we had remote event receivers. Now we have webhooks, right? So yes, the same kind of functionality can be implemented in Office 365 or SharePoint Online using webhooks connectors.
Okay. Even for the timer job also it will be similar.
Yeah,
Right?
for timer job, see, for timer job, no, timer job is not webhooks. I was telling about event receiver. For timer job, generally what happens, there is no concept of timer job in SharePoint Online, right? So generally what we do, we deploy it as a service, or you can say I can develop a console application and schedule it in the Windows Server or in Azure Web Jobs.
Okay. Thank you. And
Okay.
one last,
Yes, please.
question. Like InfoPath Forms, things replacement, anything is there in the SharePoint framework?
So InfoPath is a very, very long back, I will say, story, right? Nowadays, these are complete modern technologies which we are using. So we are designing from a front-end standpoint, the React-based components, right? So InfoPath and all that stuff has gone long back. right? Because in list libraries also you will not see InfoPath forms nowadays because it's completely transformed to SharePoint framework.
So currently, which are working here there with SharePoint? If InfoPath is not working, then what types of tools just running? What
So
types of
have
products
you
running with
used any modern list or library?
little bit that, not very much. So
Okay, so when you click on a new item now, earlier what used to happen, an InfoPath form used to open in a pop-up,
no,
right?
no,
A
no.
blue color,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
form, having some ribbons as well sometimes,
Yeah,
right? And then
yeah,
we remove the is DLG equal to 1 dialog box, right?
yeah.
So now what happens that that has been converted to a panel. So when you click on a new item in a SharePoint list, in modern SharePoint list, a panel opens from the right hand side, and that is a complete SharePoint framework based, a React based form.
Okay.
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 And that complete development I am going to show you during the
Right.
training.
Okay, for the
So
SharePoint developer, what should we to know regarding just like a React.js is one thing which I have to just learn that. What React.js, PNP.js, and SharePoint portable.
Yeah, so as
And
I already told
any
you,
other?
yeah, so you need to know TypeScript, right? You need to
Okay.
know any of the JavaScript framework library, for example,
jQuery,
React,
Java, yeah, yeah.
right? Like React, and then you need to know about the specifics of the SharePoint framework, for example, PNP. And
Okay.
from a tool or repository or tool library standpoint, you need to know about Office UI Fabric.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I think guys, we are good for this webinar. Thank you very much again for joining me and
Okay.
FlexPoint webinar. Okay,
Yeah,
I think we can
thanks.
wind up over here. Thanks
Yeah,
a lot.
thanks,
Yeah.
people. Thanks for the session. It was very much knowledgeable and informative. Thanks, everyone. Apologies from our side as we face some technical issues. So it's fine. And coming to the training part, so we are starting a batch from 17th, as people has said, 17th October. So it will be on weekends. So on Saturday and Sunday, we'll have 3 hours of sessions each day, 7 to 10 p.m. IST. And if you go and see in our website, the current price for this course is like 14,999 INR. So the person who has attended this webinar, we are giving a very much good discount for the enrollment. The person who has joined today, they can avail the offer, and we are giving the offer as if you can enroll by tomorrow. So you have to pay just 7,999 plus GST. So I just
Okay.
repeat, it's 7,999 plus GST if you enroll by tomorrow. So we'll be sending you guys, those who have joined the webinar, we'll be sending you the coupon codes, but that coupon code will be valid by tomorrow only.
Okay. Okay. One thing is how much time it will take for training? How
Yeah,
much
sorry, I
days?
didn't mention. It will be a 30 hours of duration. So it will
Okay.
be
And
going for
it will
5
be
weeks.
sure. Yeah, it will be sure that everything will be included in that training.
Yes, whatever the course content and the outline we'll be sharing, definitely everything will be
Yeah.
covered with a hands-on
Yeah.
wherever it is
Yes.
applicable.
Yeah. Some examples and other things.
Yes, yes, wherever the hands-on is required. So
Pankaj, I
definitely,
would like to answer this
yeah.
question here. I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but I would like to answer. So, whatever has been, guys, I will definitely recommend this training for you all. And I will say that whatever has been shared in the course outline will be covered along with the hands-on wherever applicable. And when I say hands-on, so it will be complete examples and sometimes real-time scenarios as well. Because as I said, I am from background as a developer also, right?
Okay.
I'm not of kind of a person that only going to show you the PPTs and
Yeah.
then will
Yeah. That's
complete
why.
the
That's why
training.
I'm asking.
So
That's why
training,
I'm asking.
so PPTs will be very less. PPTs are generally
Yeah.
I use for the information so
Yeah.
that they can be shared with you after every session. So let me tell you that after every session, the examples will be shared with you, the complete structure, solution structure, so that you can run it at your end, right? And the PPTs will be shared with you. The complete course material will be shared with you. So you don't worry about that. It will be definitely it will be a complete hands-on training. Yeah, Pankaj, please continue.
Yeah, one more thing just to
People,
add.
I have one question last.
Yeah, Prasad.
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
Basically, I'm having experience in both, on premises as well as online.
Yeah.
even I have some basic background of the SharePoint framework, React.js and all. So I just
Great.
want to understand the scope of this SharePoint framework in future. So
Okay. So as I already mentioned, the scope, you talked about the scope, right?
yeah,
So as I mentioned that the modern team sites, communication sites, yes, definitely the scope is very, very vast. Okay. And this is the only trend which is acceptable now in the industry. When I say trend or the future of SharePoint, the PNP.js or the Graph APIs or the SharePoint framework, the complete development is evolving around it only. And you must be hearing the news nowadays from Microsoft as well that everything which Microsoft is working on is SharePoint framework along with Microsoft Teams. I'm sure you know about Microsoft Teams capabilities that even a SharePoint framework web part can be plugged and played in Microsoft Teams,
yeah,
right? So there is a lot about Microsoft Teams which is going on, and at the I'm sure that you must be aware that when we are using Microsoft Teams, it actually creates a SharePoint online site collection at the backend.
exactly.
Are you
Yeah.
aware about it?
Yes, yes.
So what I'm saying that if you have a MS Team channel, let's say there are 10 channels in your Microsoft Teams, there will be 10 site collections at the backend which are running for you, but you cannot see them in your tenant. Those are hidden site collections from Microsoft. But now you can imagine that at the backend, behind the scenes, everything is SharePoint Online. Are you getting my point? So when it is behind the scenes or maybe in the upfront the scene, it's everything is SharePoint Online. So you can now understand very well that what is the beauty or what is the scope in terms of going forward for SharePoint framework. Because I will say now from here that every developer, if they want to be in the race of, if they want to be in the journey of SharePoint, of Microsoft stack of technology, they have to learn SharePoint framework. And let me tell you guys that I've also written, I am an author of the book. I am author of a SharePoint framework book. It's available on Amazon, right? You can go to Amazon, amazon.india or amazon.com. The book name is Getting Started with SharePoint Framework. So I'm an author of a SharePoint framework book also. I have dedicated my so much time on SPFX. That's why I'm able to give you some kind of information or trainings on this. So just to answer your question precisely now, Prasad, the scope is very, very wide and it's must for all.
Okay, understand.
Any other
Any
question,
more
guys?
question? Yeah,
Okay, I
just
think
I want to add one thing, like as Vipul has shared that he'll be sharing all the hands-on and all those PPTs. So each session will be recorded. So if you miss anything, or if any particular day, if you're not able to just attend the training, so every session will be recorded and we'll be sharing the link as well for that recorded session. So that's all from my side. Thanks.